Hello and good evening to you. Welcome to News 360. That's live from our news hub here at Desawe in Kadam. My name is Akoto.
And I am Portia Gabo. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Coming up tonight, Ghana Journalists Association demands passage of Freedom to Information and Broadcasting bills into law as the world marks Press Freedom Day.
Across psychiatric hospitals, still reeling under broken down equipment.
And also coming up, another slum developing as makeshift structures spring up along both sides of the Tama Motorway.
And also, Akoto Textiles Limited to lay off 600 workers by the end of next month if government does not prevent importation of cheap textile products. That's coming up in business tonight.
And in international news, Nigeria's ailing president Muhammad Buhari misses third cabinet meeting.
And details of these and more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Stay with us.
In our very first story, makeshift structures continue to spring up on both sides of the Tama Motorway, creating a nuisance and environmental hazard. Evelyn Tingma reports the area could become another slum if the squatters are not evicted.
The Tama Motorway was built in such a way that 150 meters of land would be left on both sides for future development. But such lands are gradually being taken over by squatters while city authorities look on. On both sides of the Tama Motorway, you will find slum communities springing up by the day. This is not the first or the second time we are reporting on this particular issue, but day in, day out, you find lots of people coming here to live in this condition. Well, the environment is not the best, but the people, even though they are not happy about it, say they have nothing else to do. They have no option but to stay in it, but they are hoping someday they will leave their place. On this part along the motorway are many makeshift structures with lots of activities going on. Food joints were common, but sanitation was poor. Some squatters complained the area gets flooded anytime it rained. Another squatter who operated a chop bar and would not want to appear on camera also complained of poor sanitation, which he said is affecting his business.
You can see around. Food and this thing can never match at one place. I talked to them about this bola, they refuse to take it up. Customer doesn't come because of the sanitation is very poor here. Even we request for a dustbin that will give us so that we can heap Ebola and we pay for the Zoom lion will come for it. Nothing is done yet. New Wulomo claimed ownership of the land.
We give them the land, but they do not listen to our advice in keeping the environment clean.
Now we are at 60 years. And how long is going to take and to construct a gutter through from here at Tetekwashi to Tema roundabout. If it should be like this, I don't think if it rains, there will be a secure way.
The structures have been connected to the national grid, with some poorly wired. Others complained of constant knockdown of pedestrians on the expressway.
The people walk across and there is always the accidents frequently here. There must be overhead for pedestrians to crisscross this place.
As it stands now, there is absolute recklessness on the expressway owing to the sprawling slum and devising of unauthorized routes, causing accidents. Officials from the Ghana Highways Authority are yet to respond to the issue. Evelyn Tengma, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, let's just stay a bit further the motorway here in Accra. Expansion works on the Tama Motorway led to serious traffic congestion on the road yesterday evening. Today, we're returning to the place to find out the traffic situation. Josephine Frimpong is our Tema correspondent, and she's joined us live now. Josephine, what exactly is the situation where you are?
Contractors and engineers working on the Tama Motorway Runabout Improvement Project have entered into day 4 for the second phase of the construction. As a result, the Ghana Highway Authority and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Meridian Ports Operations have directed that the motorway runabout should be closed for 3 months. Within the 4 days that this runabout has been closed, it has created so much inconvenience for motorists. Motorists are saying that they have to stay in long queues for long hours, long queues for long hours at the motorway runabout before they get to their destination. If you're a motorist and you are coming from Accra or you're coming for Akosombo or Aplao and you get to the runabout, you have to be diverted to use the one-way road. A one-way road has been provided, and this one-way road is linking the Tema Motorway and linking straight to the Harbour Runabout. This one-way road is what motorists are complaining about. I have with me here one driver who usually plies the stretch and would like to speak to us and tell us what they make of the one-way road that they have provided for motorists here.
You're from Italy. Kwano omoyen fine. Boy ankasa but na anka before mo be block kwano one way ba kwan ba ko da Lance's office e na chire kwano anka mo ye ni nyina anka mo block ye anka traffic ya higher na ye adwuma anka traffic no obi betimi afa chire onom no mo de aye adwuma but enu asemi ma anya adwuma eno anwumre afi na meba me den na mahwe me ma no me yire nti ye pa mo chow sa kwan kakra Lance's office kwan e na obi ni ma chire cemetery road no omo ntwa so omo betwa so se na be cars no betimi afa ho na ama traffic na akofo kakra ye pa mo chowa na mo hwe sa kwan no mo ye man se na be a yenso ye be adwuma kakra
so share kwan hifa poti na mo de to a betimi aboa because in the morning ne enwumre no wo hwa ha ne timi chipa
but e chire ase no kwan ba ko da car park ho na nka mo ye na nka car na kopi ye fence aflow station ho na ma omo fitema e ko aflow ni pom ni we no omo betimi ayuso sa route no ena pom to ho kwan no so kakra bi asai nti e cars no ntimi mfa ho nti e pa mo to ankom ye sa kwan ansa na mo block here anka cars no ye taxi drivers ye be rewre mu ahu ba bi e be fa ba sa kwan no nyina anye nti e pa mo to no mo grade sa kwan so the way try ya witness for na chi ho no kwan da ho e pi wa Lance's office on grade so ansa na mo block sa kwan anka be boy.
That was a local driver who uses the stretch very well. He was explaining to us that the one-way alternative route that has been provided is not enough because during the peak period in the morning and in the evening, you find so much, the whole place is jammed with a lot of vehicles trying to find ways. As a result, the vehicles, the motorists themselves are trying to develop their own routes on the motorway to link other places, especially those who are going to Aplao and Akosombo. And also, they are calling that road signs should be provided. What is currently available now is a traffic light that they have created. That is not enough. They want other road signs to direct. Earlier in the morning, there were a few traffic wardens who were around. They are also calling that please, the MTTD should also get involved to ensure that they direct the traffic in the mornings and in the evening. So what is currently happening at the improvement, the Tama Motorway Runabout improvement works is that work is currently going on. Engineers at even working at night here. The traffic has gone down a little bit, but in the mornings from 5 a.m. to 6, we'll still find a lot of people here using this road. This road is very strategic for linking to the port. It's one of the strategic roads that links to the port, and the construction or the opening up of the Tama Motorway runabout will help to boost business here. From the Tama Motorway runabout, my name is Josephine Frempong.
Very much. That's Joseph from Pont there on the motorway. And some of you spent 4 hours last night at the same place. So we'll give you a lot more updates on it. Stay on it as we go on and have subsequent bulletins. But Member of Parliament for the Bolga Central constituency, Isaac Owusu, has asserted that the Galamsey Menace will not end because it has political underpinnings. According to him, the fight against Galamsey is part of a grand scheme to redistribute jobs to the NPP, adding that licenses are being given to people to engage in the menace. He was speaking on TV3's flagship morning show, New Day.
Galamseyers are being removed to be replaced by other people.
Really?
Exactly.
How did you arrive at this?
What we are doing is the winner-take-all politics we are doing. Let's be sincere and frank with it. There is no clear commitment to fight Galamsey in this country. It is the winner-takes-all politics that has been taken to the Galamsey field. And I can assure you of that. So all this talk about Galamsey and media, it is window dressing. It is just a redistribution of who now does the Galamsey. And I can assure you, give yourself the next 4 months, you will find a new breed of more aggressive, hungry Galamsey. I am telling you that this issue about Galamsey is about who gets the job.
Is it fair to conclude, Honorable Dongo, that there are NDC Galamseyers who are being taken out for
MPP to take over? That is the language I'm speaking. That is precisely what is happening. And I'm just telling you
but is there evidence to this, Mr.
What evidence you want? Go and find out and dig into the backgrounds of those who have been chased out. And find out and dig out the backgrounds of those who are still doing it and are not being chased out. Are you getting the point? So let us be sincere and frank and deal with the issue as a national menace.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for Bolga Central, Isaac Owusu, has downplayed government's efforts to fight Galamsey, saying it is just a redistribution of opportunities to the NPP. He was speaking in an interview with TV3.
There is a selective approach to deal with this matter. Don't forget that there are a lot of these people that are called Galamsey operators who actually have licenses and are doing small-scale mining. And most of them are being victimized and pulled out of their concessions. Now, if you look at the spread of the work of the task force, have you seen them in Eastern Region? Chebi, we were told by a chief that at the backyard of the Ochehene, there's Galamsey. A chief from Eastern Region said that. They did prompt any government official or any team to go there. How many small-scale mining licenses are they issuing, even at the peak of this problem? That has to be investigated. And it will amaze you that even when they are fighting those who have the licenses, they are issuing more to people who have no clue how to do surface mining. It is a broader scheme of redistribution of jobs that this government is pursuing.
Meanwhile, a Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Barbara Otinjesi, has debunked the claims, insisting they are frivolous and lacks basis. She spoke to Martin Asiedu-Dartey on Media Live.
But I believe that this statement lacks any basis because we are all confronted with this dire situation of illegal mining, and successive governments have tried to deal with it. We know the activities that the former government itself undertook. And in fact, the board of the Minerals Commission even tasked the Secretariat to come out with various activities that can be undertaken to curb the illegal mining. And one of the things they raised was the fact that they should put a hold on issuing of licenses. So this even putting a hold on issuing of licenses was even raised before this new administration came into power. So I don't see how somebody can now turn around and accuse this government of using it as a ploy to issue licenses to its favorites. Not any basis.
And away from the Galamsey Menace, let's continue with the rest of our stories. And the National Tenants Union of Ghana wants the affordable housing interventions by governments transformed into social housing schemes. The union contends the price tag to such facilities do not make them accessible to the target group of low-income and vulnerable persons.
Available at the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing indicate that the country's housing deficit stands at 1.7 million units and it's expected to reach 2 million by next year. Between 190,000 and 200,000 units would have to be constructed by the government each year for the next 10 years to bridge the gap. In 2005, the then new Patriotic Party government initiated the Affordable Housing Scheme, which was aimed at providing accommodation for the low to middle income earners who were mostly government employees. Other governments have over the years rolled out similar housing schemes to provide shelter for citizens. However, pricing and accessibility have always been contentious. The National Tenants Union of Ghana is of the view a social housing scheme would better serve the purpose.
Here is the case, you talk about affordable housing that I know is within the range of $27,000 and $57,000. The government wants, and how many Ghanaians, as you know today, can be able to afford. But the right terminology that we expect them to be using from today is the social housing. If they really mean business, social housing is housing for the vulnerable, housing for the deprived, housing for our fathers and mothers who are on pension.
The General Secretary of the Association, Frederick Opoku, said a government's approach breaches the housing policy.
It took us 40 good years to come up with such a policy. In it, there's that word social housing in it. Go to South Africa, we have a social housing policy. South Africa, don't you see a lot of more affordable, real affordable housing for such vulnerable persons? Have you not heard about some of these projects? Is it the same as what they are doing here?
The Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Samuel Atachia, together with his two deputies, Frida Prempe and Eugene Entry, on an inspection of some affordable housing projects in the Tema metropolis, reacted to their concerns.
Affordability is a factor of your ability to pay. That's the sense I get it. For example, if there's a very decent house, which is 3-bedroom house, and you as a journalist, you want it, you don't want to go to a 1-bedroom, but there is a financial arrangement which will slink the payment out for a period of 20 years. So today, I don't know how old are you, if you are 25, and 20 years, you can be servicing a mortgage loan. 20 years down the line, you can come and roll in a 3-bedroom house.
At Saglami, 1,500 housing units were ready. The Pong affordable housing site is also 98% complete. The minister said a rural housing scheme is also underway.
What we are seeking to do, that people who are living on the Accra-Kumasi road, you can virtually have high-rise buildings in these areas. And if our trunk road is very good, it will take about an hour for somebody to drive from where he's living in the hinterland and come to Accra and work.
The first phase of the Saglami housing unit is expected to be advertised for patronage in the next 6 months.
So even before the National Democratic Congress diagnoses and recovers from its 2016 general elections defeat, interest in who leads the party in 2020 has flooded the airwaves. What will Ghana's longest-serving member of parliament from the NDC do to the fortunes of his party if he decides to contest? Will he even contest at all? Kamla Kloche has the following report.
The race would be tough if the opposition NDC opens nomination for its presidential primaries, a turning point for the party as it slipped into opposition. Former President Mahama has not publicly stated he will contest, even though his support base in the party insists he remains the best choice and most marketed. Former Vice President Kwesi Mr. Arthur, academician Professor Joshua Alabi, minority leader Haruna Idrisu. These names have popped up as having interest but have not publicly made statements to that regard. The emergence of Ghana's longest-serving parliamentarian, Alban Sumana Bagben's posters, has come in for many as no surprise.
His work in politics has always been a call to duty. If the people of Ghana are calling on him to serve them in a higher position, why not?
But does Bagben think the NDC should field its most marketed former president?
The question we should ask ourselves is, we need somebody at the middle ground, somebody who pulls people from left, right, center together. Can we find that in our outgone president? Personally, I don't think so.
He admits that the NDC fielding a candidate who is neutral and brings freshness into its body politics will be beneficial to the party. But is Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagben the choice for the NDC? Professor Ransford Jumpo is a senior political scientist at the University of Ghana.
Sometimes people resort to some of these acts aimed at just testing the waters and one's acceptability and popularity within the party. This is just a usual way of politicking with a view to determining whether one will be accepted when he throws himself out there.
But you see, so the people you see behind us here are persons who haven't hidden their ambition to lead the NDC as a flag bearer in any elections.
I am not surprised at the names coming up. I am rather surprised at the timing, especially when the committee set up to investigate the cause of the NDC's defeat is yet to present its findings.
You think it's too early?
I think so.
Well, let's go on to the telephone now. We've been joined on the telephone by Dr. Isaac Owusu Mensah, who is a senior lecturer at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Legon, to further elaborate or deliberate on this, if there's any possibility. Doc, if you can hear me, good evening to you. I thank you very much for your time. Now, what do you make of the names that's popping up now? Professor Joshua Alabi, John Mahama, who, you know, there are people who are close to him saying that he will indeed contest for the flag bearership of the NDC out of election 2020, Kospio Gabra, now Alban Bagben.
Thank you very much. I think as a party, different interests will certainly come up when the party is in opposition and they are preparing for the next election. However, it's important for the party and the constituents of the party to also educate their members who go and cast their vote, to consider the party in a bigger point of view, to look beyond just 2020 elections and the extent in which the party can be built and in order to around whoever the candidate would be. Now, the names that have come up so far, as we know very well, His Excellency the President, former President John Mahama is the strongest candidate of all. But the point is that if he goes and he does not win the elections, what is going to happen to the party at the end of the day? But all these names that have come up also shows the level of interest that people have as far as leading the NDC to the 2020 elections. Of course, some of them are stronger than others. I've mentioned President Mahama as the strongest candidate, but it's also important to look at some of the new names like Honorable Joshua Alabi, who was one the MP for Rowo. From there, he went to the academia. He has worked there, excelled so well, and has some constituency within their party.
Okay. So
such people can also be looked at very well.
No, but on what basis do you make the conclusion that John Mahama, if tagged among the others, is the strongest? Apart from the fact that he is the just a president who ruled for 4 years and continued the turnout of the late President John Evans Mills after his demise. Beyond that, are there any clear strengths that he brings onto the table as compared to, or if you juxtapose him and the others?
Yes, there's a stronger indication. One, don't forget that all the people who were serving under him as ministers who also want to serve again as ministers. So those people have interest in him becoming the candidate so that they'll get opportunity to serve as ministers, district chief executive, CEOs, and the rest. So all these people at the end of the day are going behind him. And he has a group, a very strong constituency within the NDC. So that makes him a very
But Dr. Maisa, would it be too early to begin to test the waters if you are one person in the NDC who has nursed this presidential ambition? Well, there are many who hold the opinion that there is a committee that is still looking into what led to the defeat of the party in the just and elections, and already people are throwing in their ambitions to lead the party. Is it too early to test the waters as to how popular or the constituency of a particular person who wants to lead the party?
I don't think that it is too early because as we speak now, the party is organizing itself right from the polling station through the electoral areas or what they call the ward to the constituency. So it's not too early at all to test the water to see whether people know me to start with. And if they know me, would they likely support me, and if they will support me, what kind of support will I get from the people? It's not too early at all.
Doc, I would want to thank you very much. Dr. Isaac Owusu is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana, Political Science Department, on this.
Let's now continue with the rest of our stories. And the Electroconvulsive Therapy Department of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital is not functioning. Some machines at the laboratory have also broken down. Though these departments play a critical role in mental health care, the hospital is struggling to meet the needs of patients.
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital over the years is saddled with numerous challenges compromising quality health care to patients with various mental conditions. The number of patients who walk in here at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital need to undergo a lot and series of tests. But unfortunately, the equipment that is needed to do all these checks are either obsolete or have broken down in the last 2 years. A biochemistry analyzer required to run blood tests relating to the liver, kidney, and also used in determining the presence of analysis in urine and cerebrospinal fluid broke down in the early parts of last year. Another equipment, hematology analyzer used in running full blood count and differential white blood cell count routinely required tests for a wide-ranging diagnosis and monitoring of treatment, though functioning could break down anytime soon. Drug analyzer required for screening patients suspected of substance abuse and also for therapeutic drug monitoring is not available. Ebenezer Edu is a biochemical scientist at the lab department.
For our patients, because for them all that they know is there's a functional lab here, so they come, we take the specimen, and sometimes we sublet it to other facilities for the test to be done for them.
The situation is even worse at the ECT unit. Anesthetists often have to support other departments because the ECT machine broke down 2 years ago.
Because the machine is broken down, so they are all on the medications. So you go with the antidepressants, any of them, which will be prescribed by the psychiatrist. For now, because the machine is not functioning, the best thing to do is to help our colleagues on the ward. Maybe they need extra help, so we just do that.
Management of the hospital requires support to purchase some equipment and renovation.
It makes it difficult for diagnosis to be done immediately when clients do come in. And if it was being done in here, it will be timely so that the medical officers, the physician assistants, the nurses can help to diagnose the clients and treat the clients faster.
Until these machines are fixed, delivering quality healthcare or even determining the situation that a patient comes in with is a major worry for health professionals here. For TV3, AC Benewanyame, Accra.
In other news, today is World Press Freedom Day, and as we mark the day, the Ghana Journalists Association is demanding from the legislature and executive passage into law of the Freedom to Information and Broadcasting bills. But both arms of government have again assured Ghanaians the two bills will be passed before the end of the year.
May 3 every year, the world celebrates the fundamental principles of press freedom by evaluating and defending media work from attacks. The Ghana Journalists Association used the opportunity to question the legislature and executive whether they are in a dilemma in passing the Freedom to Information and the Broadcasting bills. The minority leader in Parliament, Asiedu-Dartey, in addressing the question, said Parliament will not deliberately delay the passage of the two bills. He indicated the Freedom to Information bill was at its final stages before the sixth Parliament elapsed and stressed Parliament will not legislate any bill that will censor the Ghanaian media.
There is a commitment of a bill and a law to improve the landscape of broadcasters generally in Ghana and to regulate broadcasters and to define it within the ambit of distinguishing between community radio, commercial radio, and public service broadcasters.
The Deputy Majority Leader, Asiedu-Dartey, was also emphatic the legislature is optimistic in passing the bills into law, just as the executive. She stressed the executive is aware of the relevance of the bills when passed into law and will not do anything to compromise that.
In as much as you want to check everybody, let's make sure that in doing so, we do not tarnish the hard-earned reputation of people.
GJA President Afil Moni outlined some measures the association is adopting to improve the welfare of journalists.
The GJA has drawn up plans and we are on the verge of receiving our bargaining certificates, which will empower us to demand what is due us from our employers.
In assessing the performance of the general media landscape, communications expert Professor Audrey Gajibo expressed dissatisfaction with the performances of the media and is of the view the passage of the bills will help sanitize the industry.
We may have plenty of media, but what's the quality? And we know that, there have been a lot of concerns about media ethics, media's ability to properly gather important news within their communities in order to bring it before national attention.
This year's celebration is on the theme Critical Minds for Critical Times, media's role in advancing peaceful, just and inclusive societies.
Where did they submit the truth?
Clearly, I think the theme couldn't have been any better than what it is. Critical minds for critical times. But it's interesting what we have adopted for this country, Ghana, whether Parliament is in a dilemma in the passage of the Right to Information bill. It's been on for 9 years.
They are telling us that hopefully by the end of this year it will be passed. But as the world marks Press Freedom Day, advocacy group Reporters Without Borders has issued the World Press Rankings, and in it, Ghana ranked 26 out of 180 countries in the rankings. That's in 2017 with a score of 17.95%, and we still had 26 out of 180 countries in 2016. So Ghana maintained its position over there. And then we also ranked second out of 54 countries, with Namibia being number 1 in Africa. So great improvement for Ghana, ranking 26 out of 180 countries, meaning there weren't any major incidents of media suppression and repression in the country. Good news for Ghana.
Yeah, good news for the Ghana, but a few people were spared of the blows during the elections. I mean, you were in there as well. You suffered. But anyway, I think it's good news. But the Right to Information bill needs to be passed. We'll hold government to that. But let's just stay with it. He's present at almost every major assignment in Accra. And if you are a journalist, you will never miss him at any function. Despite having nothing to boast of in his work as a journalist, he has no regrets joining the inky profession as Ghana joins the rest of the world to mark the World Press Freedom Day. A news team brings you the story about a 68-year-old journalist, Isaac Owusu Afram.
68 years and still going strong as a journalist. That's the story of Isaac Owusu, who has over 30 years' experience as a journalist. At his age, he still reports daily, attending press conferences. Today, he's here to cover the World Press Freedom Day, and his notepad is never missing.
What motivates you to attend every assignment?
You can't sit down in your office and pick story from the net or anything. Go where the action is. Sometimes you go to an assignment, a program, and they say you are not invited. But that will never deter me. So long as I have something to pick from there, yeah, I don't bother whether you give me money or not.
Eddie has an impressive resume. He has worked with the Statesman newspaper, Free Press, Vanguard, Punch, and some religious newspapers, as well as Pink FM. That's not all. He's a writer, a poet, and a musician.
We shall continue to press and press the fabric that is the society until the world is smoothed with the knowledge and truth. True boy! Thank you very much.
I asked him if he had acquired any property in his work as a journalist.
No. You don't have anything to show in terms of numeration. I've gone even on retirement with nothing.
Eddie noted at his age, it is difficult coping with technology in the journalism profession. So what does Eddie make of journalists being offered money for covering assignments?
Solely, as I said, it's good for those who are not getting enumeration from their employers. When they go out and something is being given out, automatically you can't say you will just become a Jesus Christ without taking anything. You take it.
Eddie had a word of advice for upcoming journalists.
The younger ones should strive not only to report, but also to learn how to write.
Wow.
I mean, he's an inspiration.
Yeah.
You're
still watching News 360 from the News Hub. We have more news coming up shortly.
It's News 360, time for business. Good evening. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brampe. Starting with the Akoto Textiles Limited ATL would have to lay off 600 workers by the end of June if government does not prevent the importation of cheap textile products. Now, two major unions, the Ghana Federation of Labour and the Industrial Commercial Workers Union, are proposing that government deals with the problem before rolling out the stimulus package for the private sector.
Between December last year and April this year, GTP alone has laid off 300 workers due to the importation of cheap textile products. Although its management also complained about erratic power supply, it has paid the redundancy package for those laid off. However, the situation is becoming murkier due to the dissolution of the Anti-Pirated Textiles Task Force, which was set up in 2010. The Ghana Federation of Labour, GFL, which is the mother union of textile companies, is worried more workers could be laid off. Its Secretary General, Abraham Kumsin, indicated that Akoto Textiles intends to lay off 600 workers by the end of this month.
ATL, more than 600 are going to go.
This May?
Any moment. Even 600 may be on the lower side.
You mean Akoto Textiles?
Akoto Textiles. Because the situation is not too good. That's why we keep talking. It's not that I just want to talk, because it is very stressful.
He expressed concern about a decision by other textile companies to fold up if the importation is not halted. Abraham Kumsin requested the Ministry of Trade and Industry to reactivate the Anti-Pirated Textiles Task Force before rolling out the stimulus package for the private sector.
If the counterfeiting and the smuggling is not checked, no amount of money can help the revival of these, existing companies.
The Industrial and Commercial Workers Union (ICU), of which part of GTP and Volta textile companies are affiliated, pleaded with government to halt the importation to create more job opportunities.
If you put up a textile factory, the next thing you have to do is to make sure you put up a clinic, apart from a clinic, put up a canteen. Going to produce cloth alone, all these, enterprises will also happy to find job.
Its General Secretary, Solomon Kote, called on the security agencies to seal the borders to prevent the smuggling of such textiles into the country.
These days, there's a way to detect that your cloth is a China cloth. And when they wear it, we'll tell them in public for them to begin to feel that, look, like they say in Ghana, be an IUBOE, Mama Nobu, China, no, GTP, no. And I think that can help us, change and support our cloth system.
Right, let's wrap up with business tonight. Moving to the commodity markets. We started telling you about fuel prices reducing from between 2 and 4% on the pump stations. When you visit any of the pump stations, really what has accounted for that? We see the cedi appreciating against the dollar by some 2 percentage points there, seeing the cedi performing well as world markets prices of oil faring quite well, having oil decline to as much as $48 a barrel on the world markets, and this has been seen as the lowest in the month. Well, activity is still ongoing, then market volatility is present. You see prices seesawing this evening. It is at $50.77 a barrel there, seeing a positive change of 0.61 percentage points. So definitely this is one contributory factor to the fact that fuel prices will reduce to between 2 and 4%. Well, that will do for the commodities market and the business segment this evening. We have more on News 360. I'm Nanekia Mensah Brampa. Have a good evening.